When I came back in the office, I was shocked to learn that this weekend, the biggest story was frenzied social media rumors speculating whether Donald Trump had died. For the record, Donald Trump is very much alive, okay? And no, we like our president. Sorry, fascists. You will never silence El Chambo. Aye! But that wasn't the only victory for free speech yesterday, because a statue of Trump and Epstein holding hands was placed on the National Mall. That's kind of nice. That's good detail work. It's a lovely piece, but I gotta say, not very realistic. Trump can't stand on one leg.
Donald Trump being ripped apart by Stephen Colbert and Gavin Newsom isn't a roast, it's a two-man demolition job on a skyscraper of vanity. Colbert swings the wrecking ball of satire, Newsom slices with surgical precision, and together they bring down the monument to Trump's ego piece by piece. This isn't playful comedy. It's surgical dismantling, arrogance, chaos, and endless performance stripped bare for the most merciless routine imaginable.
The strategy is inspiration, desperation, right? The two driving forces of life. And everything we were doing to try to break through wasn't working anymore. And so we decided to do something, to your point, a novel called humor. And I got to say, oftentimes Democrats, we're a little, we're not as humorous as we should be. A
little stiff.
It could be a little stiff.
Yeah.
And so we thought we'd have some fun with it. But I never imagined it would break through like it has and get under the skin of the President of the United States and some of my friends. He knows he's going to lose the midterm elections. He's underwater, and he's weak in every category. Donald Trump is weakness masquerading as strength. He's weak in every key category. That's a fact. And I think it's an important fact. He knows that. And that's why he dialed not for votes, but he dialed for seats. He said he's, quote unquote, entitled to 5 seats. Called Greg Abbott, who was totally supine, said, yes, sir, and.
Enjoying this video? Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Colbert doesn't even have to reach for jokes. Trump writes them every time he opens his mouth. Watching Colbert weaponize that chaos is like seeing a chef turn junk food into fine dining. Same ingredients completely transformed. Trump's claims of strength become the setup and his meltdowns the punchline.
Have some sense. There's no way. She's a very smart person. She has to have some sense of the irony of that critique.
But it wasn't even Dana. It was Hannity, all these guys, outraged, offended, disgusted, because we put a mirror up to Trump and the absurdity of what's going on in this country, the absurdity of Donald Trump, the absurdity of these networks playing into it.
Newsom takes a different angle. Less jokester, more analyst, he dissects Trump's insecurities with a smirk. While Colbert minds laughs, Newsom frames Trump as a man who can't govern without turning everything into spectacle. It's like pointing out the emperor isn't just unclothed, his strutting in sequins demanding applause for the sparkle. The critique lands because it's layered, part comedy, part indictment.
Had 0 events on his schedule Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and one of the only signs that he might still be around was music in the Rose Garden, which the White House confirmed was the president's music. Which I gotta say is not the strongest proof.
The brilliance of this duo is how they flip Trump's supposed strengths into glaring weaknesses. His love of spectacle. Colbert recasts it as desperation for attention, the antics of a reality star who never realized the stakes were bigger than ratings. His refusal to admit fault. Newsom nails it as teenage stubbornness, doubling down on excuses that get funnier the more serious the crisis. What Trump calls dominance, they expose as fragility.
The statue, it's controversial, obviously, but it's not illegal. The artists responsible were issued an official permit to demonstrate freedom of speech and artistic expression using political imagery by the National Park Service. Good for you, National Park Service. Good for you.
Colbert has a gift for turning Trump's daily outbursts into running gags. Every inflated claim becomes another sitcom bit, the same character making the same mistakes. The material never runs dry. Trump supplies it non-stop. Newsom grounds the humor by tying those antics to the failures of leadership. He's the straight man to Colbert's comic, and together they reveal a presidency built on spectacle instead of substance.
On Thursday, Vice President J.D. Vance spoke to the USA Today, and here's how he answered the question, are you ready to assume the role of commander-in-chief if needed?
The president is in incredibly good health. He's got incredible energy. And while most of the people who work around the president of the United States are younger than he is, I think that we find that he actually is the last person who goes to sleep. He's the last person making phone calls at night.
Okay.
What makes this roast brutal is how they tether humor to reality. Colbert lands the jokes, but Newsom reminds everyone that behind each absurdity lies actual governance, or the lack of it. It's not just funny that Trump obsesses over slights, it's dangerous because obsession replaces focus on real issues. Together, they paint him as less Lincoln, more soap opera star, remembered not for leadership, but for becoming meme material.
Park police offered the explanation that the statue was not in compliance with the permit, but they did not explain how it violated the permit. I think we know how it violated the permit. We've all seen those signs in the national parks. Leave no trace of the Epstein files. It has become...
The genius lies in how both refuse to let Trump control the narrative. Every inflated image, they puncture it. Every tantrum, they turn it into comedy gold. By denying him the strongman role he craves, they expose him as a performer trapped in his own act. Even his rallies become fodder. Colbert frames them as failed comedy specials, Newsom as empty spectacles feeding only one man's ego. The roar of the crowd becomes nothing more than a laugh track to credibility's collapse.
Speech, Trump came down hard on immigration.
It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. Let's see, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
Keep in mind, this is his welcome speech to the UN. I'd love to see him host a dinner party. Welcome to my home. May I take your hat and your coat? Wow, your kids are ugly and your wife has a horse face.
The real destruction is how the jokes outlive the moment. Colbert turns Trump into a recurring late-night character, while Newsom anchors those laughs in historical context. Every insult becomes a record, every meltdown a reminder of a presidency defined by spectacle. It's a loop of self-inflicted humiliation. Trump fuels the mockery, they amplify it, and history takes notes.
You've got some pretty good merch here, too.
Yeah, no, thank you for that.
I like this one.
Newsom
was right about everything.
That's right, yeah.
Everything.
And that's,
there you go.
you know, there's that. There's, by the way, the Bible it's on our Patriot store if you want to check it out.
You have your own Bible?
We have our own Bible, but it's sold out.
Of
It's
course.
not available.
I can imagine that thing went right off the presses.
There's tank tops with Trump's not.
What emerges is the undeniable truth. Laughter cuts deeper than outrage. Outrage divides, comedy unites. People may clash on policy, but everyone can laugh at a man so consumed by ego he becomes a parody of leadership. Colbert and Newsom use that truth like a hammer, reducing Trump's facade to rubble. He wanted to be remembered as a titan, they've immortalized him as a punchline.
Increasingly clear that the president is a thin-skinned little devil baby who cannot stand to be giggled at. And with that sensitivity in mind, I'd like to replay this clip from yesterday of him getting on an escalator at the UN. He gets down on, boop, rejected. Oh, that's tough. And not to brag, sir, but the Late Show's escalator is doing just fine.
Laughter becomes the great equalizer. Even those who disagree with Colbert or Newsom politically can recognize the absurdity of a president unraveling under jokes. Comedy here is a mirror. Colbert amplifies the parody while Newsom contrasts Trump's inflated image with hollow outcomes. A single punchline carries further than 100 speeches, ensuring his victories live on only as recurring gags etched into memory.
It's a tough time.
I'm
and
aware.
But there's been a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of folks that honestly just don't know we're going to get our country back. And I get it. This guy is flooding the zone. He's dominating the narratives. Facts don't seem to matter. Mm-hmm. And Democrats, frankly, have had a difficult time pushing back. And Democrats feel that, times there's sort of this weakness that dominates our brand and our party. And I think what people appreciate is that we're willing to fight, and not only fight symbolically by having a little bit fun, but fight substantively. We have 41 lawsuits against this son of a bitch.
This relentless teardown forces Trump into a role he never wanted. Late night's most reliable supporting character. Colbert treats him as the guest who won't leave, always handing over fresh material. Newsom underscores that this isn't just comedy, it's the lived reality of a nation saddled with a leader whose only real skill is generating ridicule. Together, they hijack his headlines and flip the narrative. Trump isn't shaping the agenda, he is the agenda as a punchline.
Let's dress them funny. Trump, he mouth shambled for almost an hour, saying at one point that he has stopped 7 wars without any help from the UN, and then added this.
All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle.
Yes. The escalator he was on stopped. And we know there is a God because we have...
By leaning into humor, Colbert and Newsom transform Trump's bravado into weakness. The louder he boasts, the funnier he gets. The more he demands respect, the less he receives. His own behavior fuels the cycle, every exaggeration another spotlight on fragility. In the end, he doesn't beat the jokes. The jokes beat him. Scandals fade, speeches vanish, but comedy endures. Thanks to Colbert and Newsom, history won't remember a strongman. It'll remember a farce, a president who became comedy's greatest gift.